What is going on, X Community? Exostomp here, and today, people, we're going over the Lairon power rankings here. So, if you guys haven't seen the Aggron and the Mega Aggron, please check that out. They will be down below, but they'll probably be in the same playlist as well. And yeah, guys, we are gonna start. So, joining me this time is going to be DDA again, and then we have Galaxy Bomb for these last two. Uh, and yeah, let's get this going. All right, guys, introduce yourselves.
Hey guys, it's DDA again.
And it's me. I'm here too.
Wow, don't sound so.
Galaxy here.
It's only one reason you're here.
This is only one reason.
Because no one else showed up, that's why.
Oh God. Okay, well, fair. All right, so we got for 12th here the Miami Sylveons, aka Storm Crystal's team, and so does anyone want to start off, or do you guys?
Yeah. So my thing is that I feel like a lot of points are spent here that don't do anything. Is like the main thing. Like, especially that Ditto. That Ditto makes me upset. It's right in the center. It's staring at you with those little beady eyes, and it's just judging you silently while you judge it. I don't see what the Ditto does here. Ditto's good in Dynamax to reverse sweep with all that nonsense, but like, what does Ditto even do here?
Like, I understand the point of Ditto, but the gimmick in low tier is a lot less effective than in high tier. I also think personally Ditto is just a little bit just you could have done something to fix your other problems. I feel like Ditto's one of those mons where if you're gonna put it on your team,
Like, if it's like 5
it's
points,
'cause you have
whatever,
a
but
free
it's
spot.
like isn't it like 11 points?
Yeah, it's really overpriced in low
Yeah,
tier, and
it's
it's already
really
worse in low
expensive. You
tier.
you could have used those points to make your mons better, and
Yeah.
then with everything else, I feel like if this team just loses momentum at even the littlest bit, it falls apart really hard. There's like very little defense here, and I feel like you just get ran over.
Yeah, there's not really a lot of really any support for toxicity in on this team.
Mhm.
You also with your hazards and removers, you don't have a rocker. You have one spiker,
Klefki has
and
to
you have
come to
one
every
E
single.
blocker. Klefki was going to come either way, but
Mhm.
still, it's you basically have committed your entire team's like just anything to do with hazards. Klefki's the only mon that can do it.
Basically, your team is 4 Pokemon.
Yeah, and it can't set up. Oh wait, no, it can't. But like it can't it just can't really do much because it's basically forcing your Klefki to either be hazard set or hazard removal. It can't really do what it wants to do half the time unless you just want to completely ignore that for matchups. And I feel like you're going to get abused for it. I feel like most people can just throw hazard stacks and just run bulk against you, and your team doesn't really have much to support it. I mean, like your team is almost exclusively specially offensive. Your best physical attacker is what
Meloetta Pirouette.
yeah, maybe different form of Meloetta, but that's about it. I mean, at least you don't have problem with speed, but I mean, when you got problems with every other aspect, I feel like that's just kind of rough.
Yeah, I will say, uh, why are there three psychics that kind of do the same thing? Wolverine is honestly, it's not a good Pokemon, especially because it doesn't really. It's a water type, but there's better water types below it. So it's like, why are you drafting
It's a
Wolverine?
decent cheap water type. I mean, I feel like at that point, like this team was going like. There's just so many better mods that you could get because you have mods that don't need to be here in the first
Well,
place.
yeah, that's the thing too. Like, it just this team needs to kind of be overhauled. Because like I don't know, I
Keep
just
your
feel like
top four and then drop everything else and start from there.
pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
Basically, revolve everything around Toxtricity and try and resolve around making sure that he has a chance of doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and dear God, do not put another special on this team.
All right,
I
let's
will
go.
say though,
Wait,
definitely not the worst team. There's one that is worse, but
well,
unfortunately,
we'll
there's
get to
I
that.
don't
someone
think that's
who is
true, but yeah.
There's someone here that slightly disagree, but we'll get there when we get there.
Alright.
I'm kind of sad now that Burger Barshi aren't here because they would have trusted it just as much as I would. Oh well, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get to the next one. So the next one here is the Bronx Bewares. So the Bronx Bewares, they have a lot of everything besides hazard removers. I just don't know how I feel about this team going from 105 to 85 speed, and you have 385 speed mons. It kind of feels like every speed tier is in the same category. You got the 100, a little above 100s, and then just 80s, and that's it.
Yeah. They're also missing a grass and a fire, which means that I feel like there's a lot of really vulnerable spots for this team where like someone can just bring 1 or 2 mons that just punch holes right through it and then they're kind of screwed. Because I feel like their core type lineup is a little bit lacking in that department.
Yeah. Plus, just overall, like the walls in this team are extremely passive in Gligar and Chansey, and even in Wigglytuff, which I don't understand why Wigglytuff is here. Literally, Chansey is Wigglytuff.
Yeah,
Like,
it's here because it's a
literally
fairy.
everything. It rocks, Wish Pass, and Cleric in general.
Yeah.
And Teleport. Like they literally do the same thing.
It's also really scary that it's such a passive team with only defog, because it means you just get
rough.
you just get kind of stomped on.
I mean, like for Alligator is scary, but I feel like this team does not give for
Yeah,
Alligator even the slightest bit of momentum of a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, the thing is, it does kind of get beat by physically offensive fighting types, pretty much.
I would love to see Zorak pretend to be a wall and then kill something.
Well,
I mean, I feel like I almost feel like Zorak trick might be a way you can actually win a game on this team. And if you're relying on Zorak illusion to win you games, something's wrong. That's when you know things are wrong.
Now listen, I
Unless you're
will
bad.
say I used to use Zoroark Toxicroak a lot because obviously 4x weak to Psychic. They kind of have the same setup moves, so it's fun to mess around with. But you need a team that supports that, and right now it kind of doesn't here. So yeah, I kind of recommend, I guess, more hazard removal in general. Maybe like you guys said, Wigglytuff and Chansey do the same thing. Honestly, I feel like you could even drop Chansey and even get 2 mons that are hazard removers that are just better.
Has Serena been taken? I feel like Serena would be perfect for this team.
Serena's not
Oh,
bad.
Serena has been taken. That's a
I
shame.
would assume Serena's been taken.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll get an Amolga and Scrafty won't get drafted.
Yeah. But yeah. All right, let's go on to the next one here. We have the New York Piplups here. And this
That
team,
looks like a Forge logo to me.
and this
They don't have a logo.
this one I put third. All right.
You put third. Please explain how this
Oh,
led to
So
replace team.
literally trolling.
Oh, I'm not trolling. Look. I look at this team. All right, I see a lot of colors. All right, the whole spectrum. No, there's a lot of colors. I'm like, this is a really good team. This has to be good. No, that may have been the thought process, but it does have a lot of mons that are weak to rock. I have noticed, but like Hitmontop is good. You know, Empoleon, Flygon, they're all kind of like fine. All right, so that's good. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, only one rocker or hazard setter, which isn't true. Okay, that's not true. What?
They tweaks a little bit of things. I think.
Oh, and that's it.
Records, Miltank and Napoleon.
No mons slower than 60 because I don't count Yamper, which could be a problem for like Trick Room mons. But honestly, I don't see a lot of things that are wrong with this team. I just don't, personally.
All right, Exa, hear me out. Can anything on this team kill anything in one shot?
Yes, Sneasel,
What?
Flygon,
You say
Okay, when you
Sneasel.
start the conversation, Sneasel, just stop.
Hoopa.
This
That's
team
fair.
heavily relies on setup moves to break anything.
Okay, that's fair.
This team is going to have a very hard time of breaking
Maybe like a
things.
choice
And
band
none of the
Flareon.
walls, yeah, and none of the walls on this team can live long enough to get that setup actually going. There's nothing like realistically, this team is almost going to be relying on a Wish Pash Flareon for half of this, or just hope to dear God that Milk Tank survives.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
that's
one
just what this team feels like.
the one thing that see, I don't think this team is 10th place, but the one thing that this team does have going for it has a lot of immunities, which means if Jungle can predict things really well, it can save a lot of chip damage by making smart switches because there's a lot of immunities on this team.
True, but that also just means that you got to win 50-50s because I feel
Yeah,
like if you
that's the
start
main
relying
thing.
on that, like after one, even two, maybe if you're lucky, tries, they're gonna be clicking the safer move,
Yeah,
especially if you become predictable. I feel like this team cannot like afford to lose that 50-50 more than twice.
yeah. Then
Now,
that
I
is
agree
why
with
I
you.
don't think it's
It's
super
not a
good.
10th team. I think it's a little higher than that, like 7-8. But you know, um, I also think a big chunk of the Aeron bottom tier realistically can kind of get switched around a little bit. They have a lot of the same weaknesses or same kind of problems,
Oh,
but
Lara?
yeah. Or yeah, Lariat, sorry. I mean, unfortunately, I can't tell the difference.
Oh my god.
I'm being mean, but
Damn.
you know what I mean.
I don't know.
Okay, someone's gonna be bad cop.
I can see the reasoning. Like, yes, it doesn't have breakers on this team, and I do agree. But like, Hoopa can still break. Like there are things that can break on this team, but overall, I think
I
if
guess your base is 70. Hoopa is gonna break out mons.
I think
It
if
dies to everything.
not having a breaker is the biggest worry, I think that's easily fixable
Mm.
because you can swap out a mon. Because honestly, the pivot's good. You have cleric, which isn't the best cleric, but it is still Flareon. It's not a bad mon. Hazard setters, you have two rockers and a Weber. It's not bad. It can be worse, as we'll see. And we have a lot of hazard removers. So I think maybe swapping out, maybe even one of the hazard removers for a breaker, I think would work. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's just we rate that differently. I see this team as being pretty significantly flawed, but if you change one or two mons, it can very easily be a very good team.
Yeah, plus this team has the very obvious problem of an Edge Quaker kind of just doesn't get challenged on this team.
Yeah.
Hitmontop's his best answer, and Hitmontop is the best answer for half the problems on this team.
True. All right, let's
Alright.
go on to the next one here. We have Liverpool, a Panda Man's
Another
team.
Forge logo. Nice.
I know, right? Everyone's using the
Similar
goddamn logo.
logos.
Why did Marshy rate this third place, by the way?
Marshy, okay. Basically, here's some insider knowledge for both Larion and Aaron. Just ignore whatever Marshy put down. Marshy did not look at the teams. No, I'm not even. That's not even a
Let's
joke.
just,
That is something Marshy straight up
There
said.
we go.
She did it to get PRs done. She took
Fantastic.
someone else's, switched like 2 or 3, and called it a day. So
For this one, I basically wrote down this team is either gonna 6-0 everything or 0-6 everything. I feel like that's what this team might bring to the table.
yeah, this team's like offensive core is pretty strong, but I think it's gonna have a weird problem, especially with knockoff. This team is so knockoff prone. Like Virizion is probably the best idea you had against this team because you're gonna want to switch in Virizion on those knockoffs. But like,
Still doesn't
nothing on
want
this
to
team.
eat it.
No one on this team wants to take a knockoff or lose their item. This team also is forcing Aerodactyl into a hazard removal role, and is forcing Crustle to be your main rocker because you can't. It's redundant to have Roxanne Defog on Aerodactyl on the same set.
Mhm.
So the role compression on this team is a little bit odd to me. Having two 130 bonds is also a little bit odd to me. Like the speed jump between 130 to 108 and then the 100 to 73 is a little bit interesting. And aside from teleport, Jolteon's your only like real pivot. So I feel like this team has a weird situation where it it knew what it wanted to do, but it didn't know what else it wanted afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I feel like this
I
team.
feel like Malamar is a little redundant on this team. Maybe
Malamar?
not, because Malamar is a pretty good breaker, but like,
He doesn't need any more breakers though.
yeah,
He has
exactly.
3 of the best physical breakers, like that of on the
I think
on
that's my
the
main
board.
thing. I
Yeah.
think if you get more utility instead of Malamar, this team actually comes into
I
its
think
own
you could
pretty
drop
well.
Dusknoir too for a better ghost type,
Mm.
or just a better
Dustor's
mon
not
in general.
bad.
Dustnoir's pretty shit.
Nah, nah,
Dustnoir's
nah.
pretty shit.
It's not
Dustnoir's
that
pretty
bad.
shit. It's not that good. Dusclops is better.
Well, it depends what you're using it for. But
Yeah, but either way, I think if you drop Malamar and Dusknoir, that gets rid of 2 mons that don't want to take a knockoff on immediately. Give yourself another removal, dear God, and then like possibly like fill in some of these gaps. I mean, this team doesn't even have a steel type.
yeah, it doesn't
Oh
have
yeah, I just.
a steel dragon or fairy. That's what I wanted to bring up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It doesn't have anything of the core.
Nope.
Not even a 1.
They just forgot about that core. Although I will say the grass, water, and fire is very strong.
Oh yeah, I mean the grass water fairy core is pretty good, but it's weird.
Yeah, I think you guys hit all the points. So, besides the speed going from 100 to 73, and that is
Oh yeah, I mentioned that part.
yeah,
130 to 108, and then 100 to 73.
yeah,
Nice.
kind of like it's like you have two extremely fast Pokemon at 130. Just get a 115. There's a bunch of them out there, and then like base 80s, 90s. There's a lot out there. Just even a base 90 here would fit.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. All right.
Right.
Next one we have Silvally Sweets. Now, okay, I do want to start with this one. So, some of my favorite Pokemon actually work really well together. Jellicent and Excadrill. Jellicent covers Excadrill's
Excadrill?
weaknesses.
Excadrill?
Yeah.
Excadrill.
Yes.
There's no extra
No, I know.
Excadrill?
Let me finish my sentence. Let me finish. So,
Yeah.
Jellicent and Excadrill work together. Now, when I look on this team, I see Jellicent and Steelix. Steelix is the same type as Excadrill. So the defensive core, extremely good because Jellicent bounces off of Steelix's weaknesses, right? The fire, the fighting, even it can take ground hits. Like that defensive core is really strong. Then you got like Rotom that can Volt Switch and stuff and move around like that. Got the Skuntank. The Emboar can break on physical. Porygon Z can break on the special side. I think this team is good, but it does have a few weaknesses, and yeah, I'd like to hear them.
My main problem is I drafted PZ in a previous draft, and I learned very quickly if you don't have a slow pivot for Porygon Z, it is really hard to get Porygon Z to do anything. Like, I feel like this team doesn't really support Porygon Z very well.
I'll tell you what though, this team definitely is slow, so I'll give them that much. Not a
That's
single
true.
mod above 100, so bravo on that one. You got the slow part. You just forgot the word pivot.
Yeah.
But to go on the topic of EXO, talking about Jellicent and Steelix, and of course, while I understand the whole like Jellicent and Steelix kind of thing, I also feel like Steelix, like Jellicent supports Steelix defensively, but I don't really think Steelix defends Jellicent defensively other than Electric, and I think that's something that might be a little bit odd because I mean he takes neutral for the grass, he doesn't resist Ghost or Dark, I mean. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, obviously Porygon Z can help, but if you're switching in Porygon Z defensively,
There's a Skuntank
that's
right
not
there.
exactly what you're looking for.
It's a Skuntank.
I don't know if you want to bring Skuntank very often.
Skuntank's not bad.
Yeah,
Actually,
I mean, to be fair, this team screams top 5 almost every game. I feel like you bring these
Yeah.
top 5 to literally every game with,
Hmm.
and then you just take your pick of do you need Slurpuff that game, or do you need another Defogger that game, or do you need like a
Sweeper.
like what do you need?
Deception.
Like, and
Yeah.
it's literally, and you get 3 options, and it's Skuntank, Articuno, and Slurpuff, and
Yeah.
they all
And he's just a
serve
cheerleader
niche.
pom pom in the back.
Yeah, we got cheerleader Cottony over here, which I swear to God, if he brings that to a game, he's throwing.
He does
So,
all the time.
Then he's throwing. I mean, that's just how that works. I do think this team, like Porygon Z and Emboar together, are very strong. Both of them want slow pivots.
Yeah.
Your only 2 pivot mons, not including one of the ones that need the pivot for it, both of them are your first and third fastest mons in this team.
Yeah.
Of which you don't have a fast team in the first place. So I think
Yes, this team gets run over by like
yeah.
a Dragon Dance setup, and you're kind of done.
Yeah, I
'Cause it
would
doesn't have
I would
priority
suggest
either.
looking at the bottom half of
Mm.
this draft, specifically Skunk Tank, Articuno, and Cottonee, and getting you some better slow pivot. And also looking at the fact that I mean, you do only have one rocker. I mean, obviously it's Steelix, so he's reliable, but it's still only one rocker. And then obviously I get why you drafted Articuno. You wanted an actual fighting type switch in that isn't Jellicent, because you don't really have a fighting type switch in that isn't Jellicent. So I would suggest getting something else that can do Articuno's role but better. I don't know if Zatu's drafted, but Zatu might work. It has teleport, so it doesn't matter what speed type it goes or something similar. But either way, yeah, I think that would be where I would go if you wanted to fix this team. This team has good potential, though, at least.
Okay. Yeah. I think you guys hit all the points, so that works.
Nice.
All right. Let's go on to the next one here.
Flappers, your team is
Hell
shit.
yeah.
Now we changed your
Flappers,
logo.
your team is ass.
But
Ass.
all right, you know what? First off,
Great.
I want to hear from Galaxy. Okay, Galaxy, you
All
tell
right.
me why you put him
Galaxy put
first.
him in first, and it's the only
Listen.
reason your ass is not in the bottom 3.
Listen, this team is amazing.
Okay, what?
This team is shit.
So, there's various things. Obviously, Stealth Rock, Bidoof, whatever. Look, that doesn't matter. I don't see an opportunity for them to really go for a Stealth Rock. They can get Ninetales out, and that's chip damage. That's fine. But Ninetales Arctozolt, super scary. Arctozolt shreds things, and personally, I do not see people preparing properly for Arctozolt in this draft. I think Arctozolt is just gonna run over literally everyone, and no one's gonna be able to do anything about it. And I think the team has enough secondary backbone that once Arctozolt finally goes down, whether it's to itself from recoil damage or anything like that, it has the capabilities to finish off with the rest of the team. Zygarde's really, really strong. Indeedee is great. Indeedee's honestly a sleeper hit. I think Indeedee's fantastic. And yes, Kling Kling's a meme, but it can still do work when it needs to.
All right, so first points. Clink Clang, no, it cannot.
It can do
It
stuff. It's fine.
cannot. Bidoof is better than Clink Clang, and Bidoof.
Oh,
is
whoa,
pretty
hold
much-
on.
All right, now to continue on this team, you are correct. That the one thing this thing have is offense. This is an HO team with zero support for HO. You don't have any hazards to try to make it to where your HO can actually do it. If you want.
Hell.
This team literally lives or dies on the fact of if Actorzolt can do anything. Zygarde, Indeedee, Actorzolt, all 3 of these mods, what do they want? Support. What do these mods don't get? Support. Literally, this
support each
entire
other.
team can just die from just a protect toxic bullshit from 2 months. This team takes no power as soon as Hail's gone. Zygarde can't hold itself alone when it's versing this stuff. And Indeedee also when it comes in, right? I mean, it kind of just gets hardwalled by a lot of dark types because it doesn't get Focus Blast. So it just gets walled. And you have nothing on your team to help with that either. This team literally just screams, if I don't get the first kill, I get 6-0'd. And that's just what this team is. Now, I know Lappers is a good player, relatively, right? But the point of this PR isn't if they can use it well. The point of this draft is, did you draft a decent team? The answer is no. It is 12th. It is a horrible team. How dare you disgrace with this?
And Lappers put his own self in there. Like, what?
Oh yeah, he's talking himself up, and I think it's extremely biased on the fact that he looked at the other teams, realized that half the division drafted really poorly, and went, "I'll be fine." But that's not how PRs work. It's just not, and this team's ass. Period.
Yeah. So being a little nicer. So all right, Ninetales and Arctozolt, they have a fire weakness, and you don't have a bulky water. Your bulky water does not count. Okay, Sharpedo does not count. All right. Clang Clang and Bidoof also don't kind of count as Pokemon. So really, you only have 6 Pokemon, and none of them are. I mean, Delmise is defensive, but other than that, none of them are defensive. So, like a good Fire type with even like Rock coverage can just run through this team. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
It's-
I don't know if
I think you summarized it pretty well.
This
I-
team is just sad.
I don't
mean,
know
you
if
don't get light clay and you don't get heal extenders, both of which would make this team fucking god tier. Like, okay, let's be honest. If light clay for Royville or the Snowy Rock was available, this team would probably be where Galaxy put it in the top, because you wouldn't be able to do anything, because you would just lead Ninetales, and with a 109 speed, unless they led something faster, you just get to click it for free 90% of the time, and that's just kind of how it works. But no, that is not how this works. You don't get extension in hail, so you can already count out 3 turns of hail, one of which for switching to Exalt, 2 of which are 2 free protects. So they only have to live 1 hit. That's all,
okay.
and you're gone.
Let's
Sorry,
move
I'm
on
just-
here.
I can't, man.
Let's move on. DDA is heated. We gotta move on.
Galaxy, I'm disgraced.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
We got the
Wow.
barking Grambles here. Okay. Definitely a lot better team. Okay.
This team is very divisive. Some people think this team's fantastic. Other people think this team is.
Well, we don't
not
count
great.
Marshy, so really mainly just Well, you know what? You put him 8th. Why did you put him 8th?
So it's really the speed for me. Like they have Rabombi and Archeops as being fast mons, but Rabombi's paper thin. Rabombi can do work, but I don't think it does work in this draft. I think there's just like the things that are stronger than it do just run over it really, really hard. And then the speed just goes down really, really slow. So I feel like
Good.
a fast team or like something that sets up with with agility or dragon dance or something like that. I don't know what this team can do against it.
Yeah, I actually have the opposite opinion. I think Rabombi works for this team pretty well. I mean, Rabombi in this situation isn't like a breaker or anything. It can be, but it's not necessarily meant for it. Rabombi's meant to just be the fast asshole on this team. Archeops obviously is going to be a fast breaker for this team. A lot of this team does like the webs that Rabombi gives. This team is the best on paper for checking boxes. This
Yes.
team has pivot off the wazoo. This team has amazing setters. Literally half the team can flip and flop, and you'll still get all your setters that you want. This team has amazing removal, and Chimeco is surprisingly a good low tier wish passer. It's better than you think it is. And like overall, like this team just has a lot to it. It's got really good bulk. It can honestly break most
Yeah,
teams.
the bulk is
I-
really nice. I will.
Yeah,
I will
like
agree.
realistically, the only problem this team does have is that it does have a little bit of a speed problem, but it's not really the speed tiers that are a problem. It's just that this team is just a little bit reliant on the fact of pivoting around and then hitting something hard, which isn't really a problem. I mean, like honestly, I think this team does it well. Most of the mons on this team can take a decent hit. The ones that can't are fast enough to get out. Archeops and Rabombi in that discussion. Everything else on this team, realistically, could just go max HP, max whatever else they want, and just kind of go ham.
Yeah. I mean, you guys kind of pointed everything
Very
out.
disappointed that it's all the way down in 6th. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a few places on this match were a little bit mismatched, but yeah.
that's fine. I mean, I do think that this team is good on paper, but it can. Thing is, Blastoise is the only Pokemon like anywhere near 80 speed, which could be a problem because obviously you have fast mons 95 and above, and then slow mons 65 and below. And so like if your mon is 70 speed, which a lot of Pokemon are honestly, or above, you don't really have to put too much speed into your Pokemon. So that would increase the HP that you're gonna have to verse from people, which would then make it harder to beat down mons. But I do think overall, other than that, I mean, it's a little ice weak. You have the Incineroar and Blastoise, but other than that, nothing can really take an Ice move. I guess Fortress as
Fortress
well.
can take it fairly well.
Sure, but I don't
And
know.
you get
I don't
steel type
know.
coverage for it
Fortress
too.
seems like it's hard to bring. Is the only thing.
I don't really see that problem, honestly. I mean, like, going on the thing that you're saying, Exo, about how the speed problem of 65 below is pretty slow. Is there really anything 60 below that wants to build speed? None of them really need or want speed. The only one I could possibly say is Chestnut, and the only time Chestnut really goes speed is to outspeed a wall, which wouldn't go speed on any team anyway.
I've seen speed on Golurk and
If you're running
Incineroar.
speed on Golurk, I don't know why.
You run Agility. Sorry, Rock Polish.
Well, if you're running Rock Polish, then you don't need. It doesn't matter what your speed tier is. That's a +2.
Yeah, but you
You need
gotta.
to go maybe like a little bit invest just to make sure to beat like the ones that you're trying to go for.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Galaxy in the point where Fortress, it kind of doesn't feel needed because you have so many pivoters and hazard setters and hazard removers. I think you could find a better Pokemon in that slot, but it's a fine Pokemon. I just think like it's kind of redundant because you don't. It doesn't really do much. Like I don't see it coming over 8 of these Pokemon. So
See them. I think Fortress's main role in this, like on this team, is it's mostly to check certain like types and such like that. And because Fortress has good pivot, I think like honestly you could have a little bit more fun with sets because since a lot of these mons are hazard setters, Fortress having like literally like three or like two or three by himself kind of makes it to where he lifts that roll compression off of them. So when you like you can bring toxic spikes in this team even when Dragalge doesn't have a good matchup. You could bring spikes in this team even when Chestnut doesn't have a good matchup. I think it's just like one of those things where it's there if he needs it, but he doesn't need it.
Mm.
It's just a good role spreader.
right,
Plus, it's probably just one of the steel types that were still available.
That's fair. Yeah.
fair.
So I think it's just low tier necessity at that point.
All right, let's go on to the next one here, which is Galaxy's team. So
It's me.
so Marshy put you second, and I wish she was here because I really don't know.
Yeah.
Like I want to know her thought process.
Me
don't-
too.
I
I don't think I'm
also-
that good.
I mean,
Um,
I don't think it was a thought process. Like I said before, Marshy's on
Yeah.
record said that she did not look at anything.
But I'm pretty proud of this setup, to be honest.
Okay. Do you want to explain your
You
team
wanna
in
talk
depth a
about
little
it?
bit?
Yeah. So, overall, I think the cores are solid. I don't have a grass is definitely a big concern.
The rest with the
Uh,
electric terrain team is rough.
Yeah, because it would definitely help out, and I'll have to think about if there's anywhere I can fit it. But um, I think like some of the lower point, like Palisand, is so good. Palisand is so bulky, and I fought against the Palisand the last time I did the draft, and it was impossible to break through. I was just bad, obviously, but I think Palisand is really underrated, and I'm very excited to put in work with it. I think Durant also. I thought Durant was terrible, but then I kind of looked at it more, and it seems really, really strong. So I think it will definitely help on this team. And of course, Reggie Drago. If they don't have a good fairy answer, I literally just murder them, which is fantastic.
True. Now, so the first things that I notice on this team, now obviously this team is does have some really good strong points. I do think this team has like at least three extremely glaring weaknesses for me. One is the fact that this team really is just you die to Edgequake, just period. You ground obviously is going to be a big problem for you. You do not have a ground resist, period. You have two immunities. You don't have a resist.
Yes.
And both of your immunities are weak to rock and electric. And with electric terrain, that just means that off bringing of electric type moves are just going to be harder for you to deal with. I think that's a really big glaring weakness, which is going to make Palisand have this really tough role of trying to take everything, and you're going to be forced to pivot to him and really hope that you don't get predicted. Also, the fact that Palisand's your only rocker that does give another roll compression to Palisand. Palosan is a good mod, but it definitely is breakable. It's also extremely knockoff prone, and I think like those two things in particular is also going to be a big challenge for you. Um, and then Palosan, obviously, like Palosan and other like your other walls in this team do have naturally recovery, so having Raichu as your only wish passer is not as much of a problem. But I feel like this team also kind of falls into the realm of you don't really have physical breakers. Obviously, Regigigo can go physical. It likes to go special, but it can kill D-Dance anytime with the Rake, and of course Durant as well. But both of them have not exactly the best defenses. I mean,
I
Regigigo has
think you're sleeping on
HP.
Scrafty. Scrafty's really good.
I think I personally, in my opinion, looking at this team, I don't see why Scrafty would show up to most matches. I feel like you have a little bit too much of role compression on your team to bring it. I feel like it might bring to some matchups, but it's got to do really well for it to be worth. Because I feel like Moltres, Mantine, Palosan come to every game. I feel like Pikachu, Raichu, Alolan is kind of your main core. If you're not bringing that, you got to make sure that Regigico, Durant have a really good matchup. I feel like Comfy is going to be one of your main kind of like in betweens between your speed and your pivot and stuff like that. And I just feel like Scrafty doesn't really have a real role in this team. I feel like it's just something that you threw on there to hope to have a good matchup sometimes.
Okay.
Interesting, interesting. I kind of agree with some of those points. Like the Mantine one, because I feel like if you're running a water type, you don't want it to be 4 times weak to electric in electric terrain. But it is a flying type, so I guess the boost wouldn't be there. But still, um, I will say that I have said to swap out Amon for a grass type because you kind of need one for an electric terrain team. I've used Sceptile before. Sceptile is amazing in electric terrain. I mean, obviously, I've used that before. Sceptile, if you go Mantine for Sceptile, then you'll have, I don't know, like 3 or 4 points left. Then you just grab like maybe Primplip. It'll give you another rocker. It'll keep the water typing. It'll give you another Defogger, which isn't too bad, but or War Turtle. I think they're in the same spot. So you just wouldn't get a rocker. But I
It would
do.
be godlike for this team if you got rid of Mantine and Scrafty and picked up like a water ground type and
Mhm.
Sceptile. I feel like that would be
Right.
godlike for this
That
team.
would be good.
That would give you a double. That would give you double like a double electric immunity, which would be nice. To make it to where you actually have some things on it to make your water type not weak to electric, which is really strong. I think you could even switch Palosan if needed to be, but either way. And then with Sceptile as well, I think that would give you a lot better like pressure within this team.
Right.
And having both your like having two ground types weak to grass is a problem because you have a 4 times weak. You have a 4 times resist to grass and Moltres. You have Regigigo who's resist grass, and I'm pretty sure Durant is also 4 times weak or 4 times resist to it.
Mhm.
To double check. Yeah, it's also 4. So you
Seal
would have two 4 times resist to grasses. So I think having a 4 times weak to grass with just a water ground would actually really help this team.
Let me just write this down really quick.
And I will say, when I look at a team like this, and it's condensed to 9
Still has
Pokemon,
potential.
but 4 of them are 4 times weak to a type, it is kind of like scary. So like dropping Mantine Scrafty for even though Seismitoad, like you just gave good examples of why it's fine. So like let's just say Seismitoad, and Sceptile. Boom, you fix one of the 4 times weaknesses. The other one is covered pretty well. So I think it would be fine.
Just a hypothetical sake. Gastrodon or Seismitoad?
Well, both do different things. Gastrodon gives you recovery, whereas Seismitoad gives you another rocker.
Oh, you
Oh,
do need
Gastrodon
another
doesn't
rocker.
have rocks. Oh.
Gastrodon does not have rocks. That's the pivot between the two of them. You don't have a wish passer, so if you do go Seismitoad, keep in mind that any chip is permanent. Other
I
than
do have
that,
2
yes.
recoveries though.
Currently you do have recovery mons, and you would have a Palosan who has recovery.
Works.
Yeah, so like you do like a lot of your mons do have recovery. So if you wanted to keep that trend, Gastrodon would be good for you. Seismitoad has better offensive measures. Gastrodon has better, especially defensively, because it has more HP and more special defense. So I would just honestly look at your team at a micro level for your defense and special defense, and figure out if your team needs a more offensive pressure water ground type or a more passive.
I do not think I need offense anymore.
Well, Seismitoad,
Pretty good on offense.
Well, honestly, Seismitoad would give you another physical breaker with some setup.
I guess without Scrafty, that's a bit of an issue. Yeah.
problem is
So I
Seismitoad is
think that's
taken.
just something that you would, after the video, would look into.
Yeah.
And for those who's watching the video, the suggestions and how we're talking to Galaxy is a great way to think about your own team. Like when we give you these thoughts, start looking at like the draft board and kind of like see push things in and kind of like match up to where you're not the things you're taking away. Make sure you aren't losing, because every single mon is going to give you something unless it's Bidoof, or Klinklang. But every month's going to give you something. So if you're going to switch it out, make sure that what you're losing isn't more loss than gain.
Right. All right.
Seismitoad's taking. Darn it.
Yeah, there's still like Swampert, which kind of does the same thing, but
Expensive. Jesus.
Swampert is just better Seismitoad. To be
yeah,
fair.
it's just
That's
more
Seismitoad
expensive.
with pivot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
just
We've lasted enough on me.
yeah. Let's go on. We could do that later. All right. Next one here we have
It's
is
just an example.
I think this
Pallet-
team is fantastic.
Yeah, Palatown Pikachu's. You put him second. Do you want to explain why?
Yeah. I mean, this team. I feel like this is the most unpredictable team in the draft. I think this team has so many different win conditions, and so I don't think it. I think this is the hardest team to prep for. Essentially, it's really, really hard to tell what Monty's going to bring because they all are really solid. And he has 10 Mons compared to like the 9-point condensing that some people have. So I think this is the most versatile team, and I think that is really, really powerful in a draft format.
In the contrast, I think he has mods in this team that don't belong, that don't have a role at all. For example, why do you have Seismitoad and Araquanid? I don't know why you have both. They don't really play different roles on this team.
For webs.
Realistically, I mean, you don't really have like I understand. I mean, I understand you wanted a water type that wasn't weak to rock because half your team is weak to rock, but like that's not really like it's not worth it to pick up a Seismitoad. You could fix a couple of these mons. Like
Hey, you could trade that Seismitoad to me if you
can
want.
get a better ghost type or a better guard type. You have two ghost types. I just like you have two ghost types. You have two bug types. You have two water types. You have one defogger, and that's Talonflame, who does not want to run defog and already has to run boots every time. This team has a big speed drop between 110 and 85. I think this team doesn't support Heracross at all. I think you're right. This is unpredictable of a team because there's gonna be a giant problem no matter what they bring.
Yeah, I do want to mention this too. Let's play spot how many 4x weaknesses there are on this team. We got Talonflame, Magneton, Heracross, Diancie, and Seismitoad.
You know what? At least look at the bright side. At least they don't share a 4x weakness.
Oh, okay, that would have been really hard to do.
Would have been funny.
Yeah, they just pick up Swampert over Arachnid, just like.
Yeah, I mean, like this team, honestly, like this team just dies to a little bit of coverage.
Yep.
And obviously, obviously there's gonna be like you could have some answers, but predicts are gonna fuck this team in the ass. And the fact that it's fourth tied, I think, is a little bit too much justice for this team. I think people saw the power that this team could bring in Heracross and Talonflame and Poltegeist and went, uh-oh. But then they have to look at this team and go, every mon that breaks does need setup, and this team, I don't think will survive long enough to set up. I think this team does not like to stand in for more than a turn. Other than, Magneton, if they don't have a ground type.
I mean, I think there's a lot of redundancies here. I mean, you already mentioned Araquanid and stuff, and then there's like Poltegeist, Spiritomb, which are both ghosts, which I know they don't do the same thing, but honestly,
different. I mean, I don't know what Spiritomb's doing here.
Well, Spiritomb is
being a dark.
Spiritomb's okay. Spiritomb's okay, but
it's not necessary.
Poltegeist, I feel like, is unnecessary because I don't know when it's gonna set up. When you have a Heracross and like a Tauros, and I mean, a special. See, the thing is, you want a special breaker, and Poltegeist isn't a special breaker.
Poltegeist is set up as a special sweeper.
Yeah.
Which I think, for those watching, when we're saying these words like breaker and speaker, so there's two different forms, right? A sweeper is usually a mon with setup or with enough breaking power to just sweep a team with just its stab alone, and usually that is considered a sweeper. Usually mons that as soon as their checks are down, they can sweep a team. A breaker is a mon that quote unquote literally breaks walls. They do a big chunk to the wall by themselves, and they get free damage every time they switch in. That is a breaker. They can be the same thing, but they're not the same thing always.
Right, like Heracross is a breaker, Tauros is a breaker. There's not a lot of breaker. I mean, like I don't count Magneton because you need to run specs to
That's
really
not a
break.
breaker.
Yeah,
Generally,
That's not a breaker.
breakers are good early game, while sweepers are good late game.
Indeed.
yeah.
And obviously breakers can be good or sweepers can be good early game in the right matchups, but usually sweepers are late game, breakers are early game, and your walls are what is giving you that transition. If you don't have the right support, you won't get the transition to breaker to sweeper. That just won't happen.
Right. All right. I think we had enough time on this one. Let's go on to the next one here. We got the lovely Sylveons. Okay, another Sylveon team.
I'm so glad that they took my advice, and this team got so good because of it.
True.
Yeah, this
Honestly,
game is pretty scary.
I would have moved it up more, a little bit more, if I could. But yeah, this was a really good team.
Yeah, this team has really good variety. I think Gardevoir Registeel's terrifying. I really wanted Registeel this time around. Unfortunately, I was not able to get it. But yeah, Registeel is horrifying, I think. I know a lot of people think Registeel's terrible, but in
Passive, but it definitely it's got its pros. I mean, it is a wall for a reason,
Yeah.
and it can sneak up on you if you let it Iron Defense body press you or
Yeah.
curse. Either way, like
I
it
also
definitely
think
has some scary sets. But
yeah, I also think
so
Crobat's a fantastic flying type. Vaporeon is Vaporeon with Registeel is just cancer. Sorry.
True.
And you know, the lower point mods are decent. Sandslash is really good value. I could even really see Raboot coming once in a while.
Dude, Reboot actually is a really good low tier mon. It actually has like a base 90 something attack. It has a base 90 something speed. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it is decently, and it gets Libero. Like you get Libero with a 90-90 or
Yeah,
like
it's a
on that
really
range,
strong
and it's
U-turn,
yeah.
so you can
You
chip
got really
really hard.
good U-turn. You got stab, flare blitz, stab, jump kick. I think it even gets gunk shot. I think is one
Mhm.
of its things as well. Like it hurts like a lot more than you think. This team's got breakers. It's got setup. It's got Registeel into Vaporeon, which is nasty.
And Shaman is right in the
You're not
center
breaking
to
shit.
yeah, Shaman's right in the center to do whatever you need it to do.
Let's see, what's Registeel's weaknesses again? Let's see, fighting, fire, and ground. Well, two of those weaknesses are completely ignored by Crowbot. And then
Yeah.
fire, you go to Vaporeon.
Yeah.
And then, oh, did your Registeel get hurt a little bit? Let me wish past you real quick.
Yeah, that's
Don't
what
mind me.
like. Registeel
Like,
Vaporeon is
this team
fear.
is annoying to break through, and it is going to be a menace.
And
blatant.
literally two of the big walls, Registeel and Crobat, Toxic does nothing to. So
Yeah.
And he has plenty of clerics. I mean, like he's not gonna have a problem with toxic. You can't toxic stall them. So I feel like this team is gonna be an annoying to fight against. The only problem this team really has is the speed jumps between 130 to 100. And
which you scarf a
that-
Gardevoir and you're good to go.
yeah, and then Shaman and Gardevoir and Rotom often are scarfed. Like those are three really good scarfers.
Yeah.
Even Raboot can go scarfed if it needs a little bit more speed. Like I think this team is very strong.
I do want to mention that there's like no physical breakers. I mean, Crobat.
Raboot can easily break, and you have Crobat.
You
that can
can't
break,
say
so I think
Raboot
it's
can
fine.
easily break because it
Raboot
can't break
can
every.
Raboot is pretty good.
I'm not saying it's a bad mon. I'm just saying it's a mon that isn't gonna be. It's not. It shouldn't be a premier breaker.
I can see Choice Band Reboot being actually pretty good in this lineup.
What I'm saying is,
Plus, you could. I don't know what is Rotom's base like physical attack. I
No.
actually don't know.
It
But I
gotta
think
be
it's Poltergeist,
terrible.
right?
it has
it's like
Poltergeist.
50.
It's fine.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, it does have Poltergeist. So I'm just saying, like, it could. I mean, it's base 50, so it probably.
But yeah,
yeah.
having Crobat being like your big physical mon and nothing else is definitely an issue. But I mean, body press Registeel is pretty scary though.
Yeah, I mean,
But
like,
that's not a breaker.
literally, that's the only real problem you could say with this team is that it doesn't have as strong of a physical presence as a social presence.
Right.
But
What
that's
what physical moves does Shaman learn? Does it learn like Seed Flare?
Seed
well,
Flare's
first of all, that's
special.
special.
Oh, is it a Space Seed Bomb? I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it does learn, like, technically, Shaman could go physical. Shaman's known for not really having, like, coverage, but it does have Seed Bomb, and it does have Zen Headbutts, and
Okay.
things like that as well. It's, so.
Yeah, that was my only gripe with it was the physical breakers. But other than that, I think it's fine. It's very annoying to deal with defensively, so I think it'll be fine.
Absolutely.
All right. Next one here we have is the Copenhagen Rajas. Okay.
This one was a pretty split
CPR.
decision.
Oh, I put them
Is
first.
this theme song that CPR song?
Why did I put them first? Hold up.
That's
Okay,
what's
here we
wrong.
go.
It's
I
a good
said
team.
great speed tiers. Hazard removal is good as well. Good hazard setters. Clerics are good. Pivots. Yeah, I mean everything's pretty much good.
I agree.
That's
I put them smack dab in the middle because I feel like it's a great checklist. It does everything that you need it to do, but I don't see the synergy, if that makes sense.
Can you explain more? Because I think this team works really well together.
So, I'm just looking at it and I'm trying to think. You know, what supports Noivern in this situation?
Well, let's see. Noivern's biggest weaknesses are ice, rock, and fairy, right? So in this scenario, obviously Tentacle would mostly be that fairy and probably the ice resists.
You got
And when it
Copperage
comes
right
to
there.
the rock as well, you have Mudsdale and Caparajah, which both can take care of it. I don't like Caparajah, just as a mon in general, but I can still understand its strengths. I think this team is heavily. I do think this team heavily relies on the core of Serena, Tentacle, and Mudsdale. I think the three of those mons together are going to be able to take care of most mons. And I think Florges wish passing to them is going to be a big help. Noivern is going to be doing really good support for like bouncing around and frisking and being able to switch in and randomly Draco or randomly Hurricane would be nice.
I think this team. I think the one thing that stood out to me is the team is a little bit Edgequake weak. I mean, Serena is there and Mudsdale.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Mudsdale would probably be your best bet against that. Mudsdale and Serena together would probably be your best bets against Edgequake. I can definitely see Edgequake being a problem if it's +2. Definitely for sure. I mean, honestly, the biggest thing that I had when I was looking at this team is just that like a lot of these mons like really like this team is really switch dependent, and a lot of its momentum has to stay up. And if it loses momentum, I think this team can crash pretty fast. But this team has so many options to keep momentum up that I think it can survive pretty long.
I think I did rate them a little low, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the mons on here, like, I feel like Ursaring is kind of meh as a Pokemon in general, but it's not bad. Duosion
I don't know,
has
man.
its uses.
Guts Stab Facade is pretty good.
It's good, but it's so slow. I mean, 55 speed slow. But...
Yeah, it's slow, but who's switching into that?
You never know. But yeah, I put it first.
Ace
honestly,
130, like it's no one's switching into that.
This is another one where like if we just didn't count Marsha, I think it would be in first. But it's fine.
Right. No, because Burger also put this team pretty last with Galaxies. Like Burger put this middle of the pack.
But the thing is, this is tied with first, so that's what I'm saying.
No, this is tied for second.
All right, it's tied for second. Who's for?
I do believe the last team would have been second place if we like honestly, I still think the last team should be second place. I'm still like on the leaves that Fifth was too low for gold. But yeah.
Okay, well, let's get to it then. So the first place team is Toronto Typhlosion.
Oh yeah, Phoenix. This team is number 1 by far.
It's very, very good. You put them first, and why don't you talk about them?
Oh goodness, a team that actually supports Manaphy. I mean, I don't think we've had a team that's really done that well so far.
Excuse
Um,
me.
you're not excused. You're a
Wait a
middle of the
minute.
pack team. You're a middle of the pack team. This team does really good well because, like, God, is this team hard to prep for? I mean, like you have. I, I, I'm just at a loss for words for just how annoying this team is going to be going forward. It doesn't have a speed problem. It doesn't have a pivot problem. It doesn't have a cleric or hazard or removal problem. This team hits every type advantage that it really needs to. You can't even say this team is Quake like Edge Quake weak because it has as many ground type resists and immunities as it needs to. And the biggest thing that I think this team really goes for is that it doesn't really have a lot of weaknesses. Like Drapion has one weakness, and it's ground, of which this team has 3 immunities and a resist for. Electros literally doesn't have a weakness for it. And I think just this team in general is just going to be really annoying to break because there isn't really an exploitable weakness. This team can really just this team will only lose if it just gets outplayed. Like
I
personally,
can
that's
see one weakness to this team.
and what would you say that is?
Zygarde.
That is a mon. That does not count.
Yeah,
if
that's
a
fair.
if a team is a single mon weak, that just means that it will have a rough matchup into that one mon. Of which, by the way, Cryogonal will like can do
That is
pretty
true.
well.
Cryogonal will be
Ambipom
very good.
has like better priority against it. Zygarde can't one shot anything on this team.
Mm.
I think
Oh, I could
think
a
we'll be
one-shot Carkol actually.
nah, because Karkol's running Focus Sash.
Shit.
Plus sock shenanigans. Sturdy, berry juice, pain split, toxic.
What the heck did you
You,
just say?
I just said the cheesiest set in the world that you actually have to prep for now.
God,
That doesn't sound very
why
fun.
would you do that?
Literally, it is one of Sock's more viable sets, which is really sad.
I just
But
run
if you see
Scarf and
Sock is
punch
not level
things.
100, if you see Sock is not level 100,
Oh
know
yeah.
that one of your mons is going to get crippled pretty badly. And there's really nothing you can do about it.
Normally it's good in regular draft, but in like low tier you just want it to punch holes. But yeah.
True, but still, like it can both punch holes and do that. He even has like Sock is his mold breaker, doesn't it? Isn't that one of its things?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like in mold breaker in low tier is extremely rare because only like 3 to 4 mods actually get it in low tier,
Hmm.
and half the teams are always weak to fucking ground types because they take care of their ground types, which is levitators. Which this team also you could say that, but Cryogonal is a levitator that isn't weak to ground. And this team has a normal immunity in Togetic and a resistant Gorgeist, so it would be fine.
Okay. All right. I mean, this is all fair. This is all fair. Let me see. Whatever. Okay, so the there's two sides to this roster here. There's the things above base 80, and then there's the things below 50 or 50 or below, which is a 34 speed gap. Which it's not the biggest thing because at least like there's slow mods, but there are five of one, two, three, yeah, there are five. One, two, three. Am I counting right? Yeah, there's five mons.
Five,
Okay.
but all five will never show up to the same game. I think 2 at map shows up to the same game, maybe 3 in certain matchups.
Hmm.
And none of them share weaknesses, and none of them are really wanting speed. I mean, Donphin has priority in Ice Shard if it needs it. Donphin's tankier, Bronzon's tanky. Electros is it's slow pivot for a reason, and then Carkol and Togetic are EV light mods. So I mean, I don't really think this team when it comes to the lower tier speed gaps, if it's like I get the 84 to 50 is like rough, but it's I mean, like, what are you scared of? Trick Room?
Yes.
This team has a Donphan and Electros that can play in Trick Room if it needs to, and a Bronzong who can
Electros
counter
in Trick Room sounds terrifying.
It is terrifying. Plus, this team also has Bronzong to counter Trick Room if it really thinks it's gonna be a problem.
The other point I wanted to bring up was that there's not a lot of physical wall breakers besides Sock. I mean, you got Ambipom is not a wall breaker. It's not,
Donphan hits really hard. Drapion hits pretty hard.
but that's not why they're there. Like Mudsdale hits hard. It's not there to hit hard.
True, but Drampion's got like both Hone Claws and Sword Stance,
I
and
could
you
see
can run
Drapion
Scope
bringing
Lens,
an
and you
offensive set.
plus you can go Scope Lens Sniper and be a really hard hitting mon.
But that's setup. That's a sweeper, not a breaker.
Scope Lens Sniper does not take setup. Plus, what is it like? Knife Slash and
You
cross
mentioned
thing, which get the free
Home Claws
crit.
Sword
Sword
Stance.
stance, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean Horn Claws, yeah, those are definitely setup. But he also just has good base attack just naturally.
Yeah, I don't know. Those are
I
the
mean,
2
I think
points that I
Donphan,
want to bring
Drapion,
out.
Yeah.
Electros, and Ambipom, I think
I
they all
definitely
have
see
a
it. Definitely,
100.
it's definitely leaning towards special for sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have the opposite effect. I think this team has less special offensive than physical offensive. I think Donphan, Drapion, Electros, Gorgeist, and Ambipom are all physical attackers for the most
Electros is
part.
not.
Electros is mixed. He has basically the same attack and special attack, both of which are above 100. And Manaphy's is really only true special attacker here that's going to do damage, unless you're counting Cryogonal half the time. But I think this team actually has the opposite effect, where special is leaning almost only on Manaphy.
I see Electros more special because it has more moves.
It
than
has.
special.
Do you realize how much fucking coverage this man has?
I mean, yeah. No, I know.
Electros has way too much coverage.
It has a lot. Yeah.
Honestly, I would have drafted it. Like honestly, it's such a good mod. It's fun to play with.
But with that, that is it for the Lairon division. We just have Aaron after this, and we're all done. So yeah, we will see you guys next time.
Bye bye, Lappers. Your team is still the worst, but bye bye.